Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 6 Part 12 based on novel. So let's start. The atmosphere on the large field had stiffened at this moment. Numerous gazes that contained various emotion gathered towards Lindong. Greed, along with an extremely rich fear, was present in their eyes. This Lindong had actually forced 3 great overlords to attack him. Some gazes swept over Tianjin's 3-men group. Although they were uncertain about Lin Langtian's strength, Fierce Wolf Tianjin, Mountain-Shattering Axe Jiang Shan and Beast Fist Mu Shou were quite famous within this northwestern region. There might be some people present who knew that Lindong had exchanged blows with Tianjin back at the Pill Grounds. However, currently, there were 3 heavyweight experts including Tianjin stepping forward. It was likely that no one within the northwestern region would not feel fear in the face of such a lineup. Liu Bai, Yang Sen, and the others looked at this scene with a peculiar expression in their eyes. Although they did not intend to add insult to injury, they did not intend to intervene and lend a hand either. They were truly a little curious about Lindong in their hearts and really wanted to know just how far Lindong could endure in the face of this lineup, which even they did not dare to slight. A smile of having fulfilled his evil scheme flashed across Lin Langtian's face when he saw this scene. Although Liu Bai and Yang Sen ultimately did not intervene, this current lineup was likely sufficient to finish Lindong off. Lindong, you possess 2 ancient secret keys in your hands. As long as you are willing to part with one of them, I will not make things difficult for you. That beast-robed man with eyes as sharp as wild beasts stared at Lindong and slowly said. Lindong's eyes paused on this person's body. By being in possession of such a mighty demeanor, it was likely that he could not be anyone other than one of the 4 great overlords, Beast Fist Mu Shou. The development of the situation to such an extent had somewhat exceeded Lindong's expectations. Before this, he did not expect that this ancient secret keys were actually the critical objects used to open these 4 great mysterious sects' inheritance, on top of being used to open this ancient treasure trove. There were only a total of 4 secret keys. Currently, he held 2 of them in his hands. Looking from a certain point of view, being stared at by these experts with fiery eyes was not an incredible outcome. After all, everyone here wanted to obtain the inheritance. Moreover, amongst the owners of the 4 keys, Liu Bai and Yang Sen could be considered truly troublesome individuals. In other words, Mu Shou and the others would naturally choose the weakest one to go after. Clearly, in their eyes, Lindong's threat far exceeded Liu Bai's group. 2 ancient secret keys. Lindong curled his lips, he glanced at the 2 tightly shut bronze door and his eyes narrowed. In the face of this situation, even if he was to really hand it over, he would likely be only to get one of those to dispel such thoughts. The remaining individuals would definitely snatch the last remaining secret key in his hand unwillingly. The current Lindong seemed to have 2 choices. One was to hand over a secret key and get one of Tianjin's 4-men group to withdraw, after which he would fight with the other 3 individuals. The second was to not hand even a single key over and end up with an intense fight with the 4 individuals. However, these 2 results did not appear to have any difference in Lindong's eyes. Lindong gently clenched his hand, he immediately raised his head and smilingly said, "There is coincidentally 2 of us here, therefore we are able to use both of these ancient secret keys." Lindong's words immediately stirred a low uproar within this field. The eyes of some people involuntarily felt shocked. The meaning of Lindong's words was that he wanted to directly fight head-on with Tianjin and the 3 others. Was this fellow really unaware of his limits, or did he really possess such a shocking ability? Mu Shou's eyes had become a little darker because of Lindong's words. A ferocious expression flashed across his face as he slowly said, "You don't know what's good for you. Ha ha, Mu Shou, you need not waste your breath with him. This fellow is extremely arrogant. He thinks that he can ride on our heads and shit over it just because he has some ability. If this kind of person is not taught a lesson, it is likely that we will be mocked by others." Tianjin spoke with a dense smile. Lindong's eyes were indifferent as he glanced at Tianjin. He completely ignored him. With a flick of his finger, an ancient secret key shot abruptly towards Little Flame behind him. "Take it." If you manage to get the opportunity later, open one of the large bronze doors and enter it. Take the inheritance within it. Ha! Such a treasure must of course be given to one's brother. How can those fellows get to enjoy it? Little Flame was slightly stunned when he heard Lindong's words. He quietly nodded his hand and kept the secret key properly. His other hand slowly held the dark black metal rod. A cold glint vaguely surged within his eyes. Lindong twisted his neck and immediately exhaled a breath of air. He knew that the subsequent battle would likely be the most intense one that he would experience ever since he entered the ancient battlefield. You three, since this person does not accept our kind offer, let us all attack. We will decide just who the ancient secret keys will belong to after snatching them. What do you say? Lin Langqian laughed. Lindong, there should be a limit to greed. Otherwise, you will only return empty-handed despite all your effort. The man who was carrying a large axe behind him looked at Lindong with icy cold eyes as he spoke with a deep voice. Sorry, but these are things that I have exchanged with my life. It won't be so easy to take them away. Lindong's voice was completely still without ripple, appearing just like a deep well. He did not withdraw even a little in the face of that powerful lineup. He had given a lot in order to obtain these ancient secret keys. Now, these fellows had actually wanted to use their force to pressure him to hand the secret keys over. Given Lindong's character, he would definitely not accept it. Since this is the case, we can only defeat you and take them ourselves. The man with a large axe behind him slowly grabbed the huge axe on his back. After which, the axe shook and a sharp overbearing wind swept over the ground, forming a deep scar in the process. Bang! When this sharp overbearing aura swept out from Jiang Shan's body, Tianjin, Mu Shou, and Lin Langqian by the side also took a step forward. 3 surging aura spread. That kind of great pressure swept towards Lindong in an overwhelming manner. Tianjin, Mu Shou, and Jiang Shan were all experts who possessed the qualification to attempt the third Nirvana tribulation. They were undoubtedly the peak existences within this northwestern region. Lin Langqian was also quite fierce. Although he was only at the 1 Yuan Nirvana stage, he similarly possessed the ability to fight with a 2 Yuan Nirvana stage expert. Now that the 4 of them had attacked together, the pressure created caused quite a number of people present to change their expressions. They hurriedly withdrew their bodies as they did so. Uproar. The majestic pressure spread as though it was a real substance and covered this wide field. Even Lindong's expression had turned into an extremely solemn one under such pressure. Clang! The metal rod in the hands of Little Flame behind slammed heavily onto the ground. A tiger roar was vaguely emitted. Numerous black glow swept out continuously from his body. Finally, some black light swept out from within his body and agglomerated into an enormous black-colored light tiger on its surface. The light tiger continued to roar and danced. A fierce aura slowly permeated it. Kill! A low and deep ferocious voice was emitted from Little Flame's throat. Just when Little Flame was about to charge forward, Lindong extended his hand and stopped him. The fierceness in Little Flame's eyes immediately diminished a little when Lindong extended his hand. Although he did not understand why Lindong was stopping him, his forward-moving body still came to a stop. I have said that the ancient secret keys are things that I have fought tooth and nail to obtain. It will likely not be as simple as you imagine to get me to hand them over. Lindong lowered his eyes. His deep voice vaguely had a bone-chilling coldness surging within it. Does the current you possess the qualification to say these words? Tianjin laughed. 3 of the 4 overlords of the northwestern region attacking at the same time. With such a lineup, it was an extremely simple matter to destroy Lindong. Yet, Lindong actually spoke such words to them. From the way he saw it, this was an incredibly laughable matter. Humph! Jiang Shan and Mu Shou behind Tianjin let out a cold snort, appearing as though they agreed with the latter's words. Yuan power crazily surged and the pressure was greatly strengthened. They seemed to be intending on using their merged aura to deter Lindong. Lin Langqian crossed his hands over his chest. His eyes were playfully staring at Lindong. He really wanted to see just how Lindong was going to escape out of this situation. Numerous gazes on the field, including Liu Bai's group, were gathered on Lindong. Clearly, they also wanted to know just what could Lindong really on in the face of such a lineup. Clang! Lindong clenched his hand in the face of the many gazes. An ancient halberd appeared in his hand. It was the ancient heavenly scales halberd. The heavenly crocodile bone spear also flashed and appeared on Lindong's other hands after the ancient heavenly scales halberd appeared. It was inserted heavily into the ground in front of him. Lindong's expression was icy cold. His hand slammed heavily onto the ancient heavenly scales halberd. After which, a dark golden-colored blood suddenly shot out. The ancient heavenly scales halberd immediately dimmed after this blood shot out. It was as though it had lost all of its spirit. Lindong flipped his hand after removing this blood that was hidden within the ancient heavenly scales halberd. A cluster of greyish-black ball of blood once again appeared. It was the blood of the demon dragon dog that Lindong had obtained from the 8th-level sect earlier. From this manner of Lindong, it was obvious that he was planning to use these two ancient bloodline to summon the ancient heavenly crocodile soul from within the heavenly crocodile bone spear. Faced with Tianjin and the three other troublesome opponent, it seemed that Lindong was planning to use his trump card. Two ancient bloodline flowed around Lindong's palm. Meanwhile, there were some wild and violent ripples being vaguely emitted continuously. Spiritual sacrifice. Lindong's eyes were bone-chilling cold as he suddenly let out a loud cry. Two ancient bloodline immediately shot out from his hand and directly landed on the heavenly crocodile bone spear. Wild and violent strength swiftly merged into the heavenly crocodile bone spear after the two ancient blood adhered onto the dense white spear body of the heavenly crocodile bone spear. Bright red lines vaguely appeared, looking just like blood vessels. Rumble. Waves after waves of humming sound was emitted from the heavenly crocodile bone spear at this moment. Those bright red lines also became increasingly obvious. From the looks of it, it seemed that there was something terrifying that was just about to break free of the spear and shoot out. This sudden action of Lindong had clearly exceeded everyone's expectations. Even Liu Bai and Yang Sen were a little surprised when they saw this sight. It was likely that they were very curious about what Lindong was planning to do. This brat is really a little strange. Don't give him time. Attack! Tianjin's expression was dark and cold as he watched this scene. Although he was unaware of what Lindong was planning to do, he still vaguely felt a little uneasy. He immediately let out a deep cry and his body took the lead to rush forward. His fist violently smashed towards Lindong. Clang! A strong figure flashed and appeared just as the wild and violent Yuan force storm was still around 10 feet from Lindong. At the same time, the black-colored metal rod carried a fierce pressure and heavily blasted apart that Yuan power wild wind. You three. This brat is no ordinary individual. If we still continue to drag our feet, it is likely that we will be the ones who will end up regretting it. A chillness flashed across Tianjin's face as he cried out sharply, after seeing the appearance of Little Flame, who had a face filled with a fierce violent aura. Ha ha, if you are really interested in the inheritance of the four great mysterious sects, you should first take care of Lindong. Lin Langqian smiled faintly towards Mu Shou and Jiang Shan. Amongst the four of them, he was the one with the deepest understanding of Lindong. Back then, this humble branch family person was a weakling in his eyes. However, he had chased him step by step during these short few years and had even surpassed him. Regardless of how Lin Langqian laughed coldly and showed disdain, he had no choice but to admit that this opponent of his was incomparably troublesome and difficult to deal with. Mu Shou's and Jiang Shan's eyes glanced indifferently at Lin Langqian. Although the four of them might be cooperating, this alliance was incredibly fragile. All of them understood that after they finished Lindong off, they would up attempting to kill each other. Of course, the most important thing now was indeed to finish Lindong off. Bang! The three of them moved their bodies and rushed out almost at the same time. Wild and violent Yuan power swept apart in the midair. Mountain breaking blade. Wild lion fist. A desolated emperor hand. The three of them clearly did not have the intention to drag the fight on. Hence, all of them unleashed quite a powerful martial arts the moment they attacked. Immediately, three unusually fierce martial arts attack whistled out from the hands of the three of them. After which, they violently smashed towards Little Flame, who was in front of Lindong. Heaven Devil God Transformation, Tiger Roar Transformation. A solemnness surged in Little Flame's eyes as he faced the sharp attack unleashed by Lin Langqian's three-men group. His strong body trembled slightly. After which, majestic black-colored energy surged out like floodwater from within his body before forming a large black-colored light tiger outside his body. Roar! The light tiger roared towards the sky. Immediately, Little Flame took a stride forward. His straightforward punch was struck forward in a plain manner. The fierce violent aura agglomerated within his body had appeared to transform into something substance-like and rushed forward together with the light tiger outside of his body. Bang! The enormous black-colored light tiger roared towards the sky. It directly adopted an extremely wild stance and collided with the three majestic attacks in front of many gazes. The wild and violent energy ripple swept apart from the point where the wildness interacted. Little Flame's body also trembled intensely. A gentle breeze spread onto his body as a low and deep explosion was repeatedly emitted from the point of contact. Fortunately, his body was extremely strong. His defense was also shockingly powerful. Hence, he was actually able to forcefully endure this wild and violent wind. Although Little Flame had barely managed to endure, he was also shaken until he took many steps back. His feet rubbed on the ground, forming numerous deep scars on it. The blood within his body also churned intensely. Although Little Flame possessed the bloodline of the Heavenly Devil Tiger tribe, there was after all some gap between his strength and that of Tianjin's group. Moreover, he was fighting 1 against 3. That result was naturally him feeling some strain. Humph, I want to see just how many times can you block us? Tianjin emitted a dense smile. Without giving Little Flame even the slightest time to rest, he took a stride forward and his body rushed out once again. Lin Langqian and the two others quickly followed from behind. That sharp attacking martial arts covered Little Flame from all directions, appearing as though it was a storm. Roar! A low and deep tiger roar was emitted from Little Flame's throat. Black light seemed to have agglomerated on his body to form a light armor. The metal rod in his hand also danced like a windmill. Countless number of rod shadows appeared. He did not even shrink back a little in the face of the combined attacks of Tianjin and the three others. He knew that Lindong needed some time if he wanted to summon the ancient heavenly crocodile's soul. Boom boom. The wild and violent attack unfolded in the wide field. Little Flame's body was also repeatedly being struck by the powerful attacks. Under such an attack, he began to show signs of being injured. In fact, blood traces began to seeping out from his body despite his strength. However, even though Little Flame was barely able to block their attacks, the eyes of Little Flame was also becoming increasingly crimson in color. He was showing signs of a wild beast turning crazy. Rumble. The fiercely wild Yuan power exploded over Little Flame's chest, and that frightening force caused even Little Flame's strong body to tremble slightly. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Little Flame's large hand randomly rubbed away the trace of blood. He flipped his hand and rubbed it over his face. After which, he actually parted his mouth and smiled towards Lin Langqian and the three others. A hostility that would cause one's bone to feel chilled filled that smile. Just as Little Flame was prepared to step forward once again with a face filled with hostility, a hand was suddenly extended from behind him. The hand landed on his shoulder and patted it gently. Lindong's voice was also emitted, "Leave it to me." Little Flame was slightly stunned. A joy was immediately revealed in his eyes. He turned his head around and coincidentally saw the grin on Lindong's face. The heavenly crocodile bone spear in front of the latter had already completely turned from a densely white color to a bright red one. Wisp of liquid blood-like glow was spreading continuously from the body of the spear. Has it been completed? Little Flame also sighed in relief when he heard the ancient roar that was being emitted from the heavenly crocodile bone spear. Lindong, are you still trying to be stubborn at this moment? Obediently hand over the ancient secret key and we might still spare your life. Tianjin's eyes shrunk as he glanced at the heavenly crocodile bone spear in front of Lindong, which had become unusually red in color. After which, he let out a cold laughter as he cried, "All of you have enjoyed attacking, right?" Lindong glanced at some of the injuries on Little Flame's body. However, he simply smiled. This smile did not contain the slightest warmth. Instead, it was filled with an endless chillness and killing intent. "Since you have enjoyed your turn, it shall be my turn now." Lindong's hand slowly grabbed the bright red heavenly crocodile bone spear in front of him. After which, he violently slammed it onto the ground. Bang! A wild and violent ripple that was visible to the naked eye spread apart from under the spot where the spear landed. There was vaguely an ancient roar spreading apart, causing one's heart to flutter. This ripple, Liu Bai and Yang Sen expressions changed slightly upon sensing this ripple. Immediately, their expressions were a little grave as they stared at the heavenly crocodile bone spear in Lindong's hands. "Kill him." The expressions of Tianjin and the three others also changed. That uneasiness within their hearts suddenly swelled. Immediately, they let out a cry in unison without any prior agreement. The four of them charged out with lightning speed as their wild and violent attacks targeted Lindong from all directions. "Ancient heavenly crocodile, appear." Lindong's eyes were indifferent as he glanced at the four figures rushing over. His eyes slowly turned towards the bright red heavenly crocodile bone spear in his hands as he muttered, "Bang!" Bright red light pillar was suddenly spat out from the heavenly crocodile bone spear like an erupting volcano. Within a short instant, it had spread over this large field. This activity immediately attracted everyone's gazes. Numerous shocked eyes shot towards the sky, which had turned blood red in color. Roar! The blood light permeated the place before swiftly gathering. A moment later, an unusually large figure started to become vaguely visible under that blood pillar. A low and deep roar sounded, appearing as though it had originated from ancient times. A frightening ripple descended from the sky. When this ripple had descended from the sky, Lin Langqian and the three others, who were originally rushing over, suddenly stiffened their bodies as though they had been struck by lightning. Their eyes contained a disbelief as they stared at the sky. That ripple could be comparable to that of a 3-yuan Nirvana stage expert. This fellow. Liu Bai and Yang Sen exhaled a gentle breath at this moment. Even they could feel a fatal danger from that enormous figure. No one had expected that Lindong was actually still in possession of such a powerful trump card in his hands. A low and primordial roar rang out from the bloody light that covered the sky as the titanic silhouette started to move. As the bloody light faded, an enormous figure appeared before everyone's eyes. Hiss! When the enormous figure within the bloody light was reflected in everyone's eyes, a series of gasps echoed across the area. That figure was 100 feet large blood-colored giant crocodile. Its entire body was covered with a bloody light. A thick layer of blood armor was covering its gigantic body. Its uneven surface contained some thorns that were extended outwards. At a first glance, it was as though the thick armor was a weapon used for massacre. There was deep dark black-colored horn on the head of the large blood-colored crocodile, and an unusual bloodlight was vaguely flowing over it. It was as though there was a frighteningly sharpness that could penetrate through the world suddenly spreading from it. This ancient giant crocodile that seemed to have emerged from the prehistoric era appeared within the bloodlight. It overlooked everyone on the field from its high position. Its large bloody eyes were emitting a ferocious glint. This was the soul of the ancient heavenly crocodile. By borrowing the strength from two ancient bloodlines, Lindong had finally summoned it from within the heavenly crocodile bone spear. What? What is this thing? The bodies of Tianjin and the three others had basically froze as they were completely stunned out of their minds. Their eyes contained an incomparable amount of shock as they witnessed this scene. The enormous being from within the bloodlight had directly caused the blood within their blood vessels to show signs of solidifying. A paleness had surged onto the expressions of the four of them at this moment. They could sense an extremely dangerous ripple from within that enormous blood figure. That ripple was far stronger than them. How is this possible? Lin Langqian inhaled a deep breath of air. He tried his best to suppress his crazy beating heart. Meanwhile, his face was incomparably gloomy. Lindong's move had essentially destroyed all of his plans. Although he had yet to exchange blows with this enormous being, it was possible to tell from the ripples that were emitted that the four of them would have difficulty defeating it even if they joined forces. Originally, he thought that he could use the ancient secret key as a reason to borrow the strength the others. With the strength of the four of them, it was sufficient to completely finish off Lindong in this ancient treasure trove. However, this unexpected change had undoubtedly completely wrecked his plans. Standing beside him, Tianjin, Mo Shou and Jiang Shan also swallowed a mouthful of saliva. They stared at the enormous being within the bloodlight and immediately felt their scalps turn numb. Only at this moment did they completely understand why Lindong did not reveal the slightest fear, even when facing against their combined attacks. This fellow actually had such a frightening trump card. Is that the ancient heavenly crocodile? Liu Bai and Yang Sen's eyes had similarly gathered onto that enormous figure. However, it appears that the both of them possessed quite a good eyesight. They finally muttered those words after staring at that figure for a moment. How is it possible that this Lindong has summoned an ancient heavenly crocodile? It is rumored that such a fierce demonic beast could be considered as a powerful existence even in the ancient times. An expert behind Liu Bai uttered with a tone that contained some shock. It is not a genuine ancient heavenly crocodile. Rather, it is a remnant ancient heavenly crocodile's soul. Liu Bai shook his head and replied, if it was a real heavenly crocodile, there would no longer be a need for him to participate in the 100 Empire War. Once he summons this creature, no one would dare to fight with him. Even those abnormal beings from the super empires would likely change their expressions once this monster appears. However, even if it was only the soul of the heavenly crocodile, it is also quite powerful. I wonder just where did this fellow obtain it from? Mu Hongling curled her red lips. Although she did not appear to lose herself like the others on the surface, the rise and fall of her voluminous chests allowed others to understand the shock in her heart. Ha ha, I have already said that Lindong is not a simple person. Tianjin and the others think that they can defeat him with numbers. However, they did not expect that this metal plate is much harder than they imagined. At the end, they could only hurt their own legs. Liu Bai laughed. Mu Hongling nodded slightly. Her peach blossom-like eyes watched the man in the field holding a blood-colored long spear. This fellow might only be from a low-rank empire, but the things that he did were those that even these experts from the high-rank empire were unable to do. Once you have recovered from your shock, you can come and try this thing. Lindong gently twisted his hand in the face of the entire place, inhaling a cold breath of air. His eyes teasingly watched the pale white expression of Lin Langtian's group. A thought passed through his heart without him wasting any breath. The heavenly crocodile soul within the bloodlight extended a claw that was filled with blood-colored scales and ruthlessly struck it towards Tianjin's group. The blood-colored claw transformed into a bloody ray of light. It appeared to have torn apart the sky. A blood-colored scar would be formed in the air along the path which it tore through. The swiftness of the heavenly crocodile's soul was unimaginable. Even someone as strong as Tianjin could only see a ray of light flashing past their eyes. Immediately, a dangerous feeling was suddenly extended as all the pores on his body stood up. Bang! Surging yuan power rushed out from the bodies of all four of them without additional thoughts. They did not dare to underestimate the situation in the face of such a rich sense of danger. Bright golden light surged out from within the bodies of the four individuals when the yuan power splurted out. Tianjin, Mu Shou, and Jian Shan directly activated their strongest golden body barrier. This solid-like golden body barrier covered the three of them. Golden glow overflowed from it, giving it an extremely tough appearance. Lin Langtian was a 1 yuan Nirvana stage expert, and he was still unable to reach the level of gathering the energy from the Nirvana golden body on the surface of his skin and forming a golden barrier. However, he had also maneuvered his yuan power to its limit. His entire body was bright gold in color, appearing extremely dazzling. While the four of them were wildly maneuvering their strength, the claw from the heavenly crocodile's soul suddenly smashed downwards. After which, it mercilessly smashed onto the bright golden glow in front of the eyes of many. Clang! A clear bell-like noise resounded over the field. Soon after, Countless incomparably fierce explosion occurred. Golden glow shot in all directions. That seemingly powerful golden body barrier had only lasted for a couple of breaths in the face of the smashing blood-colored claw from the heavenly crocodile's soul. After which, it blasted apart without any obstruction in front of the many stunned gazes and the frightened eyes of Tianjin's group. Boom boom. Golden light shot all over the place and the four figures miserable flew outwards. Their bodies directly rubbed over the field, forming four glaring scars over it. Finally, they managed to stabilize their bodies forcefully after it reached the area near the edge of the field. However, the force within their bodies erupted just when all of them stabilized themselves. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. Their originally pale face had become even paler. The eyes of everyone on the field observed Tianjin's group miserably spitting blood. All of them involuntarily became silent. Some of their faces even twitched. Although they had already guessed this ending when the soul of the heavenly crocodile had appeared, they realized that they were unable to remain as calm as they had imagined when such an occurrence really appeared in front of them. That was three top experts who had the qualification to attempt the third Nirvana tribulation. If people like Tianjin were given sufficient time, it was likely that they could even advance into that Nirvana ranking and become an expert whom others looked up to. However, they were actually forced by Lindong into such a miserable state despite having joined forces. The eyes of Tianjin's group were filled with shock as they landed on the ground. They raised their heads and looked at Lindong a short distance away. A faint horror was flashing in their eyes. "I will not kill all of you. You can get lost by yourself." Lindong's eyes were bone-chillingly cold as they swept over Tianjin and the two others. His tone was indifferent. "Lindong, I am acquainted with the people from the Great Gan Empire. I don't believe that you dare to touch me." Green and white color interlaced over Tianjin's face as he cried out with fury. "Great Gan Empire? That is a super empire. This Tianjin is actually related to them." Tianjin's voice had just sounded out when some exclamation sounded from the surrounding crowd. "I do not wish to repeat myself again." Lindong's eyes became chilly. A thought passed through his heart and the heavenly crocodile's soul once again extended its blood-colored claw. In an instant, a dense killing intent spread from it. "You?" Tianjin's expression finally began to change as he sensed the killing intent that came spreading from within Lindong's body. He knew that if he continued to contradict Lindong, it was likely that the latter would really mercilessly give him a killing blow. "Lindong, nothing in this world remains constant. Today, I shall admit my loss here. I will seek recompense for this grudge in the future." Compared to Tianjin, Mu Shou and Jiang Shan were extremely straightforward and tactful. The situation in front of them had already changed. If they were to continue remaining in this place, it was likely that they would not be able to defeat the ancient heavenly crocodile that Lindong had summoned even if they were to join forces. In that case, it was best for them to directly leave. Hence, the two of them got up, threw these words to Lindong before turning around and jolting out of the field. "Consider yourself vicious. You should just wait." Tianjin's expression was a little green after seeing Mo Shou and Jiang Shan leaving. The glint in his eyes changed for a moment before he finally clenched his teeth unwillingly and charged out from the field. Everyone looked at this scene where Lindong's words had chased away the three great overlords. All of them were quietly speechless. This Lindong was indeed not a person that one should easily offend. "Humph, Lindong, remember, it is not over between us." At this moment, Lin Langqian also stood up with an ugly expression. Tianjin and the two others were forced to leave. There was little that he could accomplish alone. It seemed that he could only withdraw first. However, just when he was preparing to withdraw, an icy cold smile was slowly lifted on Lindong's face. He raised his head and observed Lin Langqian. His soft voice contained a dense killing intent as it quietly spread over this field. "They can leave but you cannot. This video will end here.